Hey everyone, welcome to the video. I'm Suggs and today we're going to go through and take a look at the major options that are out there to go through and lower your A90 Supra. This is a great starting point for anyone looking to lower their Supra, and I can point you guys in the right direction whether you are looking at lowering springs or coilovers for lowering your Supra, because both are great options in my opinion. If you guys find this video helpful, please make sure to click that like and subscribe button down below. It really does help me out, and I do appreciate everyone who has subscribed at this point so far. And I don't know if you guys are going to like this type of video or not, where I just go through, show you guys a large overview of everything that I found as I was going through and doing the research for the parts that I'm putting on my car. This isn't going into any sort of large detail. If we went into a large amount of detail, we could easily be here for 3 hours. There will be a video for the HKS lowering springs that I decided to go through and put on my Supra. So look forward for that in the next couple of weeks. It's going to go into much greater detail than this video will. I definitely did miss some manufacturers, so make sure to comment down below with anyone that I may have missed and their products, because there are a lot of great products out there. If you have a 2.0 liter Supra, please be aware that this is all not going to be fully applicable to you guys, because there is slightly different suspension for the 2.0 from the 3.0. First thing I want to do is recommend that for any parts you go and put on your Supra, that you're going to go through and figure out why you want to put it on your car. For me, I want to go through and put the lowering springs on because I just wanted the vehicle to look better and have a smaller wheel gap. Others may go through, try to lower their vehicle because they want the increased performance handling that comes with having a lower vehicle. Others may do it for whatever reason that they want, but make sure as you're going through that you know why you ultimately want to go through and lower your Supra, because that's ultimately going to point you on the best path for whether you want to do lowering springs or a coil. Separate from the reasons why I wanted to lower my Supra, there were a couple goals that I had while lowering it as well. It's crucial that I maintain the electronic adjustability of the OEM suspension between normal and sport mode, because I do daily drive this and I do like having the adjustable suspension. I needed to be conservative with the drop because I've never lowered a vehicle before. I was aiming for a 1-inch drop all the way around, and I just wanted to make sure that I was staying conservative enough, because it's always easier to go from a more conservative drop to a more aggressive drop. And then lastly, I needed to make sure that I had a high quality product, because my mentality on this build is put the correct part on the first time and not have to do it the second time. So I don't want to put parts on my Supra that I know that I'm eventually going to replace, so I've been trying to avoid it. I started my search taking a look at the aftermarket coilover kits, because that's ultimately what I wanted on this car. There are a lot of pros to coilover kits depending on what sort of reason you're looking at. The pros for me is that it had a large amount of adjustability, so that way I could get the drop that I wanted and make sure that it was something that fit for my lifestyle, because I do have a little bit of a ramp to get out of my parking garage. For some of the coilover kits, you can still keep the electronic dampening in the suspension, so switching between normal and sport mode, that was obviously a big thing that I needed to make sure. And then it was obviously just being a big flex of having an aftermarket coilover kit that I just absolutely really love. The cons of a coilover kit though is going to be that it's really expensive for what I want. I didn't realize it was going to be around that $3,000 mark to get the entry level of what I wanted. Taking that price into account, it just really wasn't worth it at this point in my build where I can spend the money on other parts. Coilover kit though is going to start out around that $1,000 mark. You can pick up a kit from someone like BC Racing or Vegan Racing. While they're popular kits on other platforms and at a great price around that $1,000 mark, I was ultimately turned away from these just because you can't have the electronic adjustability and switch between normal and sport mode. For most coilovers that don't have this adjustability, you're going to have to go through and purchase a $300 to $400 electronic dampening cancellation kit from a couple manufacturers. Have them out there. Usually the manufacturer that sells the coilover will have their version of it. Things that's necessary if you want to get rid of all of the cancellation lights on your, or warning lights on your dashboard, unless you're just some weird person that loves those. There are a couple additional coilovers between that $1,000 and $2,000 mark, but as I was looking at them, I wasn't really familiar with them a whole lot, because I knew I wasn't going to put them on my car. If you double the price though from that $1,000 up to the $2,000, you can go and pick up a set of coilovers from someone like RSR, and at this price they don't offer the electronic adjustability either, and so you still need to spend that $300 to $400, and so you could easily be at that $2,400 mark out the door. $2,500 range is kind of where everything starts to get a little crowded and a little bit more interesting. For the $2,500, KW offers their V3 coilover kit. Similar to the RSR kit, it's not going to have the electronic adjustability, and you're still going to have to go and get that cancellation kit, which can easily set you back totally out the door around that $2,900 mark. For the $2,800 though, you can go through and purchase a full plug and play kit from RSR, which in my opinion is going to be a better option than the KW kit with the EDC. And so there shouldn't be any warning lights or anything like that. You'll still be able to have them maintain the adjustability between normal and sport mode, which is a big thing for me. And so really, if I was looking at a coilover kit, I would be looking at around this $3,000 mark at the absolute cheapest. If you're going for that full hashtag JDM build, at that $2,800, HKS also does offer their coilovers. They offer 2 editions. They offer a launch edition and then a normal edition. I think really the only difference between these two are going to be the colors. I didn't really see much of a difference between the actual specs of them. And so for as much as I love HKS though, it doesn't have the electronic dampening, which is a big thing for me. And so it's ultimately one of those things that I had to go through and skip by and pass. That leaves me with the last option I looked at, the KWDDC plug-and-play coilover kit. This is going to be around that $3,400 mark, so it's going to be extremely pricey. But this is a full plug-and-play kit similar to the RSR system, so you won't need to go and buy anything else for this. It just fully plugs and plays, and you should be good to go. Something like this also does have an 8-week lead time to be delivered at the higher end of things. As a small little intermission to how you can go through and lower your Supra, I do highly recommend going through and picking up a set of adjustable front lower control arms for the A90 Supra, because the stock ones from the factory are not adjustable. So if you lower your Supra, you're stuck with whatever camber at the front that you get with your lowering springs or your coilovers. So make sure that you're going through and adjusting those. That's back to our regularly scheduled programming though with the lowering springs. This is going to be something that's much more economical and much more widely used for lowering your Supra. For me, what I saw as the pros for this is that it's less expensive, it's easier to install, it's easier to change back to OEM, and you're able to maintain the electronic adjustability with the suspension, and you don't really have to go through and add anything. The cons that I see for this though is that there's obviously less adjustability out there, so if you might have to go through and change springs depending on what you think of the drop or not, whether it's too aggressive or not aggressive enough. And then it just wasn't what I wanted at the end of my build, so I didn't even want to put it on in the first place. Each of these options though, that for the lowering kits, I don't think are any one better quality than the other from everything that I've seen. The prices are going to be relatively similar. The differences in the springs is really going to be how much you want to lower your vehicle, not so much the price, is kind of what I noticed for the lowering springs. Starting around the $300 mark for lowering springs, you can go and pick up an Eibach Pro kit. This is going to be one of the more aggressive lowering spring kits with a 1.75 inch drop in the front and a 1.2 inch drop in the rear. Looking at the forums, this is a really popular option, and there are a lot of people that run it. For a little bit more, around that $340, RSR offers lowering springs with a little bit of adjustability, 0.6 to 0.8 inches on the front and the rear, so I'm really happy that you do get a little bit of adjustability. But for me, these springs just didn't offer enough of a drop. At that $380 mark, you can go and pick up a set of Tyne Tech springs with a 1.2 inch drop in the front and a 1 inch drop in the rear. The thing that threw me off for these is that they're green. It really wasn't something I envisioned on my car, even though you're not really going to see it a whole lot. I didn't like the green, even though it was really one of the closest drops that I really wanted for my Supra. H&R offers their lowering springs for around the $450 mark. It has a 1 inch drop in the front and a 0.75 inch drop in the rear. This is also going to be the other large option that I've seen on the forums that a lot of people have been running if they haven't been running the Eibach kit, because this is something that's definitely a little bit more conservative for the drop. And for the last but definitely not least, this is what I'm installing on my car. I went with the Hypermax adjustable lowering springs. You can pick them up for around the $850 mark, so they're significantly more expensive than some of the other lowering springs. But with this, you're getting that adjustability. So with the HKS springs, you get a 1 inch drop, between a 1 inch and a 1.75 inch drop in the front, and between a 0 and 2 inch drop in the rear. So you get a large amount of adjustability. Those are the most major options out there for the Supra, but once again, it doesn't include everything out there. I did miss companies. There always are new things coming out. Prices are always changing. Comment down below with what you guys have on your Supra to lower it. I really do hope you guys enjoyed this video, and until the next one, have a great rest of your week and see you guys next time.